About 4 years ago, Squire and Partners moved their offices from King's Cross to a refurbished department store in Brixton. They kept retail on the ground floor, they put a club on the top floor, and they've just completed a new building which they will let out as co-working spaces. It makes a really interesting example of regeneration in the post-pandemic period. So I spoke to Michael Squire about the project.
So probably something like 5 or 6 years ago, we had our offices in King's Cross. We had grown out of it. We went to go and rent some space on the opposite side of the street, and we were thinking of £30 or £35 a foot, and they asked for £70 a foot. And we decided we weren't a hedge fund. Architects employ quite a lot of people per pound earned, and we needed to find space elsewhere, searched everywhere, and eventually came to Brixton, which surprised me. It wasn't immediately the location I would have thought I would come to, but it's proved fantastic. The building, when we first approached it, I was with my son and he said, well, it's a bit of a dog, isn't it, Dad? And I know exactly what he meant, but it had all 4 ceilings, 4 floors. Everything was covered up inside. It had been occupied by the government for 20 years. It was really dire. But we ended up seeing some of this sort of magic in the ceilings. We knew we weren't going to restore it all, but we just loved its sort of decay in a way. And that became our philosophy for the whole building. Almost anything you can see here is either just stripped back to its original, that sort of cochineal green colour is the oldest paint on the walls, or if it's new, it's black and copper or bronze. So we have a kind of quite rigid rule about how the building got dealt with. So we originally dedicated the space downstairs here as where we would do our Monday morning meetings when somebody talks about what they've been doing in the week, and that's 150, 200 people. It needs that kind of space. But we weren't quite sure what we do with it the rest of the week, CPDs or something like that. And then slowly we just said, well, maybe we could make use of it when we're not using it in the evenings and the weekends, or maybe we could put on events. And I was all for it, but I really didn't believe we'd do more than 1 event a week or something. I wasn't what we did, but it's escalated so that it's, apart from the fact it's had a bad year because we haven't been allowed to use it, but the bookings from now going forwards are fantastic because it's just a very simple open space that you can use in any number of ways. Similarly with upstairs, which was to be our staff canteen, we then concluded that we'd slightly overdone it with our staff canteen, and so that evolved into the members club. But it just escalated. We now have 2,000 members and a waiting list. But you have to obey our 4 rules. You have to respect the staff, because I can't bear it when people treat the staff like crap. Respect the other members, respect the neighbours, because otherwise we lose our licence, and have a very good time. And if you fail on any of those, you're out. And so that's how we manage our membership. Downstairs, events and loos and bicycles, and upstairs, offices, and then on the top floor, the members club. To be honest, I think quite a lot of people have now decided that working from home, shopping from home, swiping right from home and getting your contacts, getting your entertainment from home, you've got to get out. And then that other issue comes in, where are you going out to? And I think people they're looking for more where they go out to. But I think there hopefully will be a feeling that you can't live your whole life at home. bought the building at the front in order to make it our own offices, but we always had the post office, Volcano, who do coffee, used to be Kabula, and it's now sushi restaurant, and Canova Hall, which is a very popular bar. So we've always had other things within our building. And when we bought the building, there was a piece of land at the rear which actually had planning consent, which had been got by Workspace for residential, 14 flats. We always felt we didn't really want to mix our site with residential, so we went back for a consent for an office building, and that's what we're now going to have a look at. We've obviously drawn upon the original department store a bit in terms of colour of brick and the lintels and other sort of aspects of it. We have this little twist with the brickwork that it is a self-supporting, load-bearing 9-inch brick wall. It doesn't have any steels to support it at separate floors. And because it's 9-inch, it has a header, and we've just pushed the header forward and cut the end of the brick, and it just gives, particularly when the sun catches it, a really lovely texture. And we were going to take it down to the ground, but we thought people might start climbing up the wall, so we stop it at the ground floor level. What I like about the feel of the building is that almost everything you can see, it's just natural plaster, natural timber. We haven't painted it or anything, and then the brick exposed on the inside. And I hope you'll see it has a sort of warm feeling you don't get in the BCO office, if you know what I mean. It's a very different feel. And part of our challenge in building this building was to try and give it, obviously you can't make it a Victorian, stripped back department store, but try and get it to have character, get it to be homely, if you know what I mean. I'm particularly in the spirit that everybody now has of having worked at home and being more nervous about going out in the world. I hope that this will be very attractive to people. So these are fixed desks which you can rent for a month or whatever, but most of the building are actually studio units that we furnish, and they rent per desk, provided they rent the whole unit. But then they all share these sort of communal areas. There's a kitchen and communal area on each floor. Nice. All our windows are openable, it's all naturally ventilated. Everywhere now we're just trying to move away from that sort of traditional office specification, not only in look and specification, but also in amenities and facilities. And here is really good because we have that event space in our building, and they have access to that. They'll have access to the upstairs members' restaurant and terrace, and so coming to work is a little bit more kind of community based. I hope the people in here will feel part of something more than just the room they occupy, and I think they will. Everyone always says to me when I'm talking like this, oh, this is your answer to COVID. But we were unquestionably sailing that ship. I mean, this got designed before COVID. Needless to say, we were halfway through it when COVID hit us, and that was really painful because we were basically contracting ourselves, and it was very difficult because if one person tested positive, everybody had to go home, and it's just so difficult to run. Such a rich mix of people, and anything you want to do is available, and the Victoria line takes you to the West End if that's where you've got to go. We have always tried right from the beginning to get engaged, because why wouldn't you? And in fact, one of our little shops here, Pure Vinyl, is an old Brixton shop, and we plucked them out of the Reliance arcade where they were, because we wanted not to just have, Five Guys wanted to offer us a lot more money for this place, but we didn't want that. We didn't want chains. We wanted local Brixton has been wonderful for us, and we have felt a real connection with local people. We're not trying to get anything out of it other than feel we're not an alien landed from outer space in Brixton. That's what we always just didn't want to be.